The icy wind cut through St. Petersburg like a knife as Catherine the Great, Empress of all Russia, stood in the Grand Palace, her heart pounding against her chest. The clatter of horses' hooves echoed through the cobblestone streets outside. There was a grim urgency in the air, a heavy silence hanging like a storm cloud, ready to burst. She had received the news just moments ago, her loyal guard had been overrun. Betrayed from within, her empire was on the brink of collapse. "Your Majesty, we must act now," an advisor shouted, his voice hoarse with fear. Catherine turned, her gaze steely, yet beneath her poised exterior, turmoil brewed. "What can be done when the very people we trust have turned against us?" she whispered, her voice a mere tremor. The weight of her decisions pressed
down on her like the heavy crown upon her head. Outside, the sounds of battle began to rise. She could hear the clash of steel, the shouts of soldiers, and the cries of the wounded. How had it come to this? An empire built on ambition and intellect, teetering on the brink of destruction because of betrayal. As the tumult grew louder, flashes from the chaos illuminated the walls of her opulent chamber. Catherine felt the walls closing in, not just from the outside threat, but from the whispers that had crept into her own court. Her trusted allies, those she had entrusted with her vision of a progressive Russia, had begun to doubt her. The Enlightenment ideals she championed, rational thought, modern philosophy, the arts, had become a double-edged sword. While she had envisioned a
flourishing empire led by reason and innovation, there were those who saw only vulnerability. "It is time, Your Majesty, to consider a new approach," a voice murmured in her ear, cloaked in silken deceit, but offering a glimmer of hope. It was Grigory Potemkin, her fiercest supporter and, at times, her greatest rival. The tension between them had always been palpable, a dance on a knife's edge. His ambition matched her own, yet in moments of peril, she felt the cold dread of uncertainty creep in. In the shadows lurked dissenters, and the applause she had once received now echoed with skepticism. Even among the intellectuals she so admired, doubt had begun to take root. What had become of the vision she had fought for? With the battle raging outside, Catherine felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. As she paced the marble floor, her mind darted back to the moment she had made her first critical decision, the coup that had placed her on the throne. It was a strategic gamble that required precision and audacity, a blend of intrigue and outright cunning. "Catherine, you must strike while the iron is hot," Potemkin had urged her that fateful night. "The moment will not wait for us. If you do not seize it, you will be remembered as the woman who let opportunity slip through her fingers." She remembered the thrill coursing through her veins when she took the leap, casting aside her previous life for something greater. But now, that decision hung over her like a specter, a double-edged sword. It had brought her power, but at what cost? Now, in
the face of impending doom, she was haunted by the consequences of her actions, both the triumphs and the failures. Catherine's mind raced back to the arguments she had with her advisors about what strategy to employ to quell the brewing unrest. They had presented her with two choices: strengthen her grip with an iron fist or extend an olive branch to her adversaries. "I will not cower in the shadows," she had declared, her voice echoing through the council chamber. "I will not betray the principles that have brought our nation to this point." Yet here she stood, on the precipice of her greatest defeat, and the strategy she had once believed would protect her now felt futile. In an effort to maintain control, she had expanded her military presence across the empire, sending troops to quell dissent. But her rapid expansion had sown seeds of discord. Some viewed her as a conqueror, a foreign force that sought to impose her will. Overreach, was that her downfall? "Trust in your vision," Potemkin had urged. "The arts, the sciences, they will serve as your shield against those who would oppose you." But as the bloodshed continued outside her palace, she wondered if confidence had morphed into arrogance. The sound of shattering glass pierced the air like a gunshot, startling Catherine from her thoughts. The breach had begun. "Your Majesty, they're inside," a guard shouted, panic clawing at his voice. Catherine's heart raced as she turned to face the maelstrom. She knew she must act, must find a way to rally her forces, to carve out a path through the chaos. She
could feel the adrenaline pumping through her veins, the survival instinct igniting a fire within her. "Rally the troops," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tempest surrounding her. "We will not go down without a fight." As she raced down the ornate staircase toward the chaos, the air felt electric with tension. Soldiers shouted orders, and the clanging of swords filled the air, a cacophony of survival. But Catherine's mind remained focused, unwavering. "Stand with me," she shouted, her voice rising above the din, "for Russia. For our future. Minute by minute, the tide of battle surged and receded like the waves of the sea. Allies and enemies clashed, and in that whirlwind of chaos, Catherine fought not just for her crown, but for the vision she had forged, a future of enlightenment and progress. Yet as the battle raged on, the tide turned against her. The air thickened with desperation, and Catherine felt a chill seep into her bones. Her loyal guards, once steadfast, began to falter, and whispers of betrayal swirled around her like vultures scenting a carcass. "Grigory, where are you?" she cried out, desperation creeping into her voice. But even as she searched, she felt the unraveling of trust, the very foundation of her empire cracking beneath her feet. Then it happened. Her closest ally, the man she had trusted above all, suddenly turned his weapon. The moment was surreal. Time slowed as Catherine's heart plummeted. Potemkin, amidst the chaos, had joined forces with those who wished to see her fall. "Power is a dangerous game, Catherine," he
sneered. A cruel smile stretched across his face. "There are no allies, only those who wish to survive." In that instant, the dream she had fought for shattered, the vision dissolving into darkness. As the dust settled on the battlefield, and the sounds of chaos faded, Catherine was left standing alone among the remnants of her ambition. The cost had been staggering, the lesson profoundly etched in her heart. This was the reality of power. It could elevate or destroy, inspire or betray. She had sought to carve a legacy founded on enlightenment, yet in her pursuit of greatness, she had neglected the loyalty of those surrounding her. In the end, it wasn't solely the enemies outside that had brought her to her knees, but also the fractures within her court. Ambition could lead to
greatness, yet it also birthed isolation, as trust gave way to fear, and allies turned into adversaries. Catherine's gaze drifted toward the horizon, the sun setting on her empire. She knew she must rise from the ashes, but the journey would be fraught with challenges. The winds of change were unforgiving, and in the world of power, the elite could easily become the fallen. In that moment of quiet reflection, a new resolve began to awaken within her. The Empress had not yet written her final chapter. The lessons would ripple forward, shaping her destiny and guiding her as she sought to rebuild what had been lost. For power, she had learned, was not merely about conquest but about the human heart that beats behind the crown. While the empire had suffered, the spirit of Catherine the
Great would not be extinguished. The struggle, the sacrifices, and the relentless pursuit of a vision would continue to shape her legacy against the backdrop of history, where only the strongest would learn to rise.